Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Doing Business in Bentonville. My name is Andy Wilson, and I'm the host today. I'm so glad you have joined us. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure that you have taken time to watch and listen to us today. We have such a great program today. We're just going to get into it right away. I want to welcome our guest today. I want to welcome Christian Crynes from San Francisco, and welcome. We're glad to have you online today with us. And also, Ken Drish. Ken, welcome.
Thank you.
And Ken is from Northwest Arkansas. So they're
sir.
here today in our studio, and we're so glad to have both of these gentlemen. These gentlemen lead a company called InstaWork, and we're going to get into that because it's a phenomenal company. And in speaking with both of my guests today prior to our podcast, they have shared with me about this company. You're going to learn so much about this company and this uniqueness of this company. And I will tell you, of all of my research, and if you need people in your organization, you need to lean in because this is going to be such a great way. We're going to get into it. Before we do, I'm going to have both of these individuals to talk about their great company, InstaWork. So, gentlemen, tell us about your company.
Awesome. Great, Andy. Thank you. Super happy to be here and excited to talk about InstaWork. I joined the company in January of this year after having spent really the majority of my career working for traditional sales and marketing agencies. So combined over 25 years, I've worked for Acosta, I've worked for Crossmark, I've worked for Trax Retail. So I've been in the space of retail service work for a long time. And I really joined InstaWork for several reasons, but some of the main things is we're really looking at executing at retail differently, kind of leveraging what the world today is calling the gig economy. So folks that are really looking for flexible work but have the right type of skill sets to be able to be deployed, and we're rolling that out into retail today, working with retailers, working with third-party agencies, and also working with consumer packaged goods companies. The company was started in 2016, based in Silicon Valley, where Christian is, and was really started as a platform and a solution for the hospitality space with companies representing companies like Hilton and Marriott, and that moved into food service with companies like Aramark and Compass, Sodexo. And then COVID hit, and that obviously put a screeching halt on that, but it forced us to pivot. So we then got into light industrial, so being able to provide workers that were skilled to go into warehouses and assist with picking and packing. We do that for retailers today and all sorts of other warehouses. And then we got into the retail vertical almost 2 years ago now. So that's the area that Christian and myself are both focused on.
Wonderful. That is such a wide range of services, and it's amazing. And if our listeners and viewers are in that space today, I really highly recommend you just lean into this because they're going to continue to talk about their uniquenesses, their differences, and other companies similar to this. And you want to hear this. So one of the things that I'm real interested in, Christian, is talk about your vision of the company.
Really good question, Andy. So our mission is creating economic opportunity for both businesses and professionals globally. So we see this as a really unique opportunity for both businesses and the workforce to lean into this more flexible on-demand work. And then we see as InstaWork as the connecting fiber to connect those two sides of the workforce. So yeah, right now we have about over 6 million workers that have signed up for InstaWork. We see such a growing momentum towards more on-demand, flexible opportunities. I'm in San Francisco, where companies like Uber and Lyft started, and they really started this momentum, this movement, where if I'm a professional, I'm looking for more ways to take accountability and ownership over my work, and that was the first way that really pushed it into the mainstream. But we're basically taking that same concept, but then putting it more in the context of an actual brick-and-mortar business. So we started, as Ken said, with hospitality, moved into light industrial, and now we see there's a tremendous opportunity within retail to do the same things. Each one of those businesses is going to be a little bit different in terms of how they might use our platform, but each one of them is able to really take advantage of that more on-demand labor economy.
Okay, that is such a great job explaining your mission of the organization. Thank you for that. And one of the things we were visiting prior to the podcast, we talked about uh, Ken, we talked about this reimagining the future work. Well, Christian, you did talk about some of that into because as you were thinking, I was thinking about, okay, I like that. I like that. I like all those things that you talked about that an individual can do, but it can go a bit more into what that reimagining workforce looks like for the work for the future.
Sure, absolutely. So I'll kind of bring it down to the retail area, which is, kind of where my expertise and where I've spent the majority of my career. So if you think about retail today, specifically bricks and mortar retail, you look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics that are out there today, e-commerce has obviously had a huge impact on bricks and mortar business. However, at the same time, bricks and mortar still needs to, and when they do get those customers in the store and consumers, they still need to ensure that their store is in good shape, that they're in stock, and they're focused on customer service. Oftentimes, what we're starting to see with retailers and with other folks in the space is you're seeing some of the tasks that really keep a retail store running, making sure the store is stocked, making sure the planograms are set accordingly, that marking and materials are up. You're seeing a lot of that suffer because of the shift to, focusing on customer service. In one example, we work with a C-store retailer out on the East Coast where they were literally in jeopardy of not being able to maintain their operating hours because the third shift, where they have people that are going in and effectively stocking or putting out the delivery that just showed up from the truck, or packing out the coolers during the peak season, and they've now shifted to utilizing an InstaWork person to come in and do that work, so their associates can focus on customer service. If you really think about what else we're trying to do in terms of reimagining, it's really akin to what Uber and Lyft did to disrupt the transportation space today. And you have individuals that are not necessarily looking for 9 to 5, but they're looking for flexible work. Maybe they want to work Saturday and Sunday. Maybe they want to work Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Maybe they only want to work certain hours during the day. And that's okay so long as you have a platform like InstaWork has created that can curate all of those individuals, background check them, screen them to ensure that they've got the right skill sets, and then deploy them to the work that our partners are looking for. So if you think about why an individual leaves their position in retail today, 35% of them say that it's because there's lack of flexibility in the work. That speaks exactly to what we're doing. 29% of them address compensation. And I could tell you the way that we run our models, we are generally paying a much better wage to the individual that's looking for this type of work and this type of flexible work. So it aligns, and we believe it fits really well, and it's going to just continue to grow and align more with CPG companies, retailers, and agencies today.
Okay, this is great. Now let's go a bit deeper here for a moment. I want to come back at some point. I want to talk about your uniquenesses, and but let's do this for a moment. Let's spend a few minutes and talk about the labor market. I mean, because you're in that space deeply, and I know you understand that market. So, Christian, start us off, and some of your thoughts and your understanding there, and then and Ken, and then I want to move when we do that. Then I want to talk about your uniquenesses because I know you shared some uniquenesses with me, especially technology driven. I think that's really critical to get out for potential customers. And so let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think one thing that we see that's been challenging with retail for a while now has just been the turnover within stores. I think before COVID, I think the stats show about turnover rates within a year would be about 75%. After COVID, an average retailer, it's been up to 95%. In certain segments, though, it could be a lot higher than that. I think NACS, the National Association of Convenience Stores, had stats that their full-time labor turns over at about 130% a year, and part-time could be up to about 150%. So being able to engage a workforce, make sure that you're not putting too much pressure on your employees so that they actually stay around. I think that's what Ken's talking about, where having a little bit more specialization within the store so you're not overwhelming your employees can be really valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And then the turnover, I think what the stats show, the average cost of turnover is anywhere between $1,500 to $3,000 per employee that gets turned over. But that's just the direct cost. There's many other costs that come along with that, from that the turnover, from the pressure that it puts on other employees. There can be missed productivity within the store. This can lead to missed revenue opportunities, customer service issues. I think that's one of the example that Ken was giving with that C-store retailer, is that the more folks that aren't able to go, the more time that, say, an employee has to be pushed into to stock the cooler where they can't be focusing on the customer, that can just really lead to overall customer satisfaction.
And for your customers and clients, it's loss of sales, loss of productivity. It's it's customer service, you name it. It just continues to pile on when you have that. Now, so Ken, as we think about in this space for a minute, this loss of turnover, the expense, all of this, what sets you apart from your competitors?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I've had the pleasure of working for several really solid companies that are still out today. I mentioned a couple of them, Acosta and Crossmark.
All right, great companies.
I would just tell you that the way that we go to market is really different from a retail perspective. We're aligned with the workforce that wants the flexible work. Oftentimes, with a traditional agency, they've kind of got a fixed model that they've been operating very similarly for decades. And it works by and large on the whole, but when you have a company that needs something tomorrow or today, maybe there's a product recall, maybe there was a display that went out that's not holding up in the store and it needs to be fixed. Maybe there's high volume stores that need to be covered 2 or 3 times a week rather than the once or twice that your agency covers today. That's where we can come in and we can, kind of really help out and be incredibly flexible. Again, the last minute type of scenarios. I can literally sell a program today, post the jobs, and literally have it assigned to individuals that have the right skill sets within 2 to 3 hours. So it really is kind of an on-demand model. And then again, we're catering to that flexibility that people want today. There's a huge part of the workforce. I believe it's 2/3 of the workforce today has some sort of a gig, or some people call it a side hustle. And I don't believe people look at it as negatively as maybe they used to in the beginning, because of tools like what InstaWork has today to really be able to curate and understand who these folks are and understand their backgrounds and what their skill sets are. So we're matching them up with the right jobs that are out there today. So hopefully that speaks a bit to it. It's just a departure from the traditional model today, utilizing folks that have the same types of skill sets.
Yeah, I think that's incredible. And I think it offers such a wonderful opportunity for the individuals, and then definitely for the customers and clients you serve. I think it's phenomenal, and you're in that deep water of that space. So how does it work? Okay, if I want to, if I want that gig, how do I do it? How do I get to your company? How do I get employed? Walk us through that, gentlemen, both of you. Just talk us through, because I think that would be one of number one. If I'm going to be a client or customer, I'd like to know the inside of that.
So why don't we take you through kind of both, how it works from somebody joining the platform that wants work, and then how one of our partners would interact with them.
Perfect.
And Christian, do you want to kind of take that part of how an individual joins the InstaWork platform?
Yeah, definitely. So as I mentioned, we have about 6 million people that have signed up for InstaWork. I go onto either Android or at the Apple Store. I go to find the InstaWork app. I download it, and then I put in you basically build this virtual resume of every place that you've worked. And I worked at Pepsi, I worked at Target. And so you build that resume on the app. That's all visible to all of our partners. So there's just an inherent accountability with representing yourself in the marketplace. And then I collect references from places that I've worked at in the past. We require at least 2 references from places that I've worked at. Those are validated. And then based on the type of experience that I have, I'll then apply for different types of roles. There's some roles on the InstaWork platform that don't require that much experience in the past. So that those don't require as much vetting. But for something like a merchandiser, we want to make sure every one of our merchandisers has 1 year of experience. They get vetted by someone on the InstaWork team. And then after that call where we screen, ask about their experience, then they can get approved for that role. And then from there on out, you will basically see all the different opportunities that you're approved for in your area. And then actually the really interesting part is that we have a rating system on at every ship. So similar to a Lyft or Uber ride, every ship that happens gets a rating from either the business or we'll provide an internal rating. And from there, you can see different types of opportunities that you can then qualify for. You can actually move up in the line as well. So you can get first access to shifts, which is actually one of the most valuable things for our professional workforce.
And I think just to add to that, what Christian said, and this is incredibly important because there's a misconception that we're a job board. We're effectively posting jobs for anybody who's on the platform to say, yeah, I'd really like to go in and do that cosmetic reset in Walgreens, or I'd really like to go in and assist with that Home Depot remodel. Well, you've got to have the right skill sets to do that. So we're not necessarily just posting for anybody. To Christian's point, they're filling out that background. We're reference checking it. We're ensuring that they've got, as best as we can, we're ensuring that they've got the right skill sets to do that job. And we're only pointing jobs to them where they have those right skill sets. Because as I mentioned, we're in hospitality. We wouldn't want to send somebody who's got bartender skills to go do a cosmetic reset in a Walgreens store and vice versa. So I would tell you from a client perspective and what we call our partners, they're engaging with us is simply reaching out to myself or going through the website or my counterparts. Obviously, we're out there evangelizing our services. We're relatively new. Doing business in Bentonville is hopefully going to be a big part of that. Relatively new in the retail space. We've been in business since 2016. But as far as engaging, I simply need to know what your needs are. If you're a retailer, are you looking for operational roles to be filled? Are you looking for seasonal labor? We talked to a large retailer who hires upwards of 25,000 seasonal workers. They put them through training. They go through the costs. They go through the recruiting. And we were told that after 4 weeks of training, a third of them did not show up. So what if you had another way of being able to vet temporary labor that you're only going to use for maybe 8 weeks during the fourth quarter to do that? So we need to know the scope of work. The second thing we need to understand is when it needs to be done, where it needs to be done, what time do they need to show up. And all of that gets built into our job description and task description for the InstaWork Pro to be able to execute. We need to understand what kind of reporting our partner wants back. Some just simply want to know that person showed up and they left. Others want to ask a bunch of survey questions and collect photos and basically give an accounting for what that individual did in that store to ensure that it was by the scope of work that was agreed upon. So really virtually no different than how you would engage a traditional agency, with the exception of you have the benefit of the flexibility that we have, the speed that we have, and really I would say the accountability to be able to go out and execute the work with folks that have proven skill sets.
Okay, I like this. I like your approach. I like the way you vet, you go in. That sounds wonderful. And I mean, that would give me great confidence as a partner to know how the vetting, what I'm going to call the vetting process that Christian, you talked about. And let's do this. you really sound like you're really a subject matter expert in this space. That's what I would call you. Listening to you already, and then listening to your mission of the company, and so talk about, if you will, the categories, the space that you provide talent for. What are the different categories? If you can name them, just name some of them, or as many as you can.
Categories within like a retail
Yeah,
environment?
well, yeah, like no, you're in the retail space.
Okay.
Are you in distributor space, or what categories are you really
Yeah,
focused in?
so it's a real mix, at least in our retail vertical today. There's really three predominant areas. We support a lot of third party companies today, or eight traditional agencies,
Okay.
where for them to send in a team of 10 or 12 people, which may be the requirement for a retailer's remodel that they've agreed to send them in, they may not have local skilled labor, and they may right now be trying to do that by flying people in or putting people up in hotels. Just doesn't make a lot of sense from a cost perspective. So we're able to supplement them with local skilled labor. That is certainly a much more advantageous cost model for them to be able to run their programs. The second area I would say is working directly with retailers, where we're filling operational roles today. Maybe we're doing overnight stocking. Maybe we're helping them with curbside pickup. Maybe we're assisting them with resets and remodels where they have the team lead and we're sending in local skilled labor that can assist. Or maybe even doing some just general janitorial type of work. So being able to assist, as Christian mentioned, where they can keep their associates who are skilled and trained at customer service for their specific store focused on that, and we can do the work that needs to get done. But maybe those individuals are not necessarily super excited about doing, or the retailer's just having a tough time, like in my C-store example today. And then the third area is consumer packaged goods companies. Whether you're an emerging brand or a mid-cap, where you may not have the kind of capital or funding, if you will, to be able to align with a large agency. Perhaps, though, you've gotten into 1,000 Target stores and you need somebody to be able to go out there and make sure that your product was actually stocked and on the shelf. We can drop in and do that kind of work as well, very simply, without having to, and quickly, without having to go through this prolonged process of lead time and things that a traditional agency is going to need, because they've already got their slate of clients that they're working with. So as far as individual categories within the store, I mean, we've touched everything from general merchandise to produce to dairy to freezer to general merchandise all over, and other retailers outside of just grocery. So category killer stores, grocers, drug, C-store is a big area for us.
And the only thing I would just add is that we do have a whole nother vertical that Ken and I work with actively, which we call our light industrial vertical, where we help out with warehouse or production labor, which is the other arm of a retailer or a CPG company. So that's another way that we currently work with those type of partners.
Well, I think it's great, and I think what you're doing, you're connecting local business with skilled labor. I mean, that's what's happening here, and you do it through the technology approach you talked about and through the vetting approach you talked about, which is very unique.
And could I give you one example?
Yeah, please.
That'll really speak to that, because you mentioned local. We have an apparel retailer that we work with that is opening basically a store a week in bricks and mortar. They started online and they're growing exponentially, opening kind of one store a week. Their model, being out of the West Coast, was to go into that market, source local staffing agencies, traditional model, right? That's been around forever. And their process was fairly simple. They needed to source a local agency. The first night, before that, once the store had its occupancy permit, the first night they needed about 15 individuals that could unload a truck, unload all the fixtures, and work to set up the store. Then the next couple of days, they'd fine-tune and keep 2 or 3 individuals to fine-tune the store and get it ready. And then the store soft opens on Thursday, grand opens on Friday. So before, they were having to go after temp agencies in markets that they were unaware of, sometimes having to cobble together 2 or 3 agencies to get the amount of manpower they needed. enter InstaWork, and now they have one solution on a national basis, regardless of where they're opening, to be able to go in, get their 15 or so they need for the first night, the next couple, and we've continued to work with them, filling at a 98% plus fill rate. I noticed today it's 100% for this week, but we're now helping them do that with that. So imagine that many less invoices, that many less contacts, how much administrative time is reduced, and they're still getting what they need in a tech environment where they can basically order folks on their phone or any kind of device that they have.
Mm. That's amazing what you just described. I felt the pains of opening stores in the past. I wish you'd been there because I still feel these pains of doing what you just talked about because I've opened a lot of new stores in my time. And I will tell you, it's a nightmare at times. And what's scary is that they show up on day one and day two, you're standing by yourself with a truck at the back door, right? And you all have really have figured this out. And I just think that it is amazing what you've done. And I think that's why I was so interested in having you on the podcast because we're focused so much as our viewers know on retail or omni-channel, but the critical piece you can't do any of that without staffing.
Absolutely.
And so you have done such a great job in doing that. Now, we talked about the labor market. We've talked about your technology of your company. Is there anything else from a technology standpoint that your partners should know about the company and how you measure, how you follow through any of that?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're really doubling down on, and we know it's the hot word of the time, but using AI in the way that we approach these problems, and I think it can be used in a lot of different ways. So, one of the things that we're collecting as a company is we have so many different data points from all the ratings that we collect, all the surveys that our merchandisers will be filling out, all the trainings that we put people through. So using AI to really make processes more efficient and also generate the right results is something that our company is really excited about. I'll give a few examples. One, training. Training's such a big piece, especially in retail, because every brand that we work with, every retailer that we work with, there's going to be something a little bit unique about their process, about how they want our professionals to act in their stores. And so we're often getting a lot of internal training documents that we need to digest into something that's very usable by our professionals. So we're experimenting with what is the best way to convey that message to our professionals who have a lot of things going on and in a way that they can be the most productive that they can in a store. So we actually just tested this AI tool that basically converts the instructions into a small podcast that they can listen to on the way to the store so they know exactly what they need to do in the store. So that's one way where we want to keep innovating on how we are really taking this technology first approach and solving the problems for our partners.
Wonderful. I love that. In fact, we just had a conversation at lunch today about AI, and it's amazing what's happening, and it seems like we're just getting started. And it's going to be exciting how that's going to affect so many businesses and individuals in the future. And definitely it's going to even speed up, like you said. I love the example because you're educating the employee or the individual before they get there, on the way there, and using technology. Great example. Gentlemen, this has been such a great conversation. But before we finish up, I want to give you both a time to talk about your company any further, say anything else about your great company, and then we'll begin to wrap up. But Ken, you want to go first?
Yeah,
And Christian, go ahead.
Yeah. So one of the things that I started with here was talking about why I joined InstaWork. And to somebody who has been working in the traditional environment with the traditional solutions that are out there today, this may come to you as very foreign, very different. And it is very different. in terms of the way that we do it. But it's very relevant to today, to today's workforce, to today's retailer and CPG and agency challenges. It is very relevant. What I would tell you is we've placed a very big bet on the retail vertical as an area to grow. And as such, we're willing to jump in and get started with a new partner in a small way, if need be, obviously a large way. I'm in sales, so I'd like it to be a large way as well. But we're willing. And what I would tell you is, speaking on behalf of my experience in the work that I've sold that I stand behind already with InstaWork, give us a shot. I mean, it is different. It's a different way of doing things, but I can tell you that it's proven to be incredibly effective. And I'd be happy to talk further with you about it.
And I'll tell and for all of our viewers, we'll make sure that you'll have information that leads you to their website and their contacts. That'll be on our website, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. And then, then Christian, and I want to come back to the contact, but Christian, thoughts, comments.
Yeah, I think we're really excited about what we're building here. So I think we have these conversations every day with CPGs, with retailers, and there's a lot of pain that we're extracting in these conversations. And a lot of that is just the challenges with turnover, challenges. I think about a CPG company. We were talking with a DSD company recently where they gave the example that they know that if they have a merchandiser go into a store every week, it will boost their sales, but the process of running that field team, the recruiting, the scheduling, the payroll, the dealing with the turnover, that burden is so great that they haven't rolled out they don't service every store every week. So when they heard about our model, if we could take care of that for them, we find them the merchandisers, we manage that for them. They said, this sounds almost too good to be true, but we definitely want to try it out. So I think rethinking how you might traditionally run your field team, run your store ops team, and leveraging our network and the technology that we built, I think it presents a really interesting opportunity, and we're excited to hopefully prove it out with more and more retail partners.
Wonderful. Okay, contact. How could they find you guys?
Sure. So you can contact me, and I'm sure you'll put this on the website as well. My email address is kdrish, KDRISH, at InstaWork.com. Not Instacart, InstaWork.com. And my number is 479-381-3789.
Good. Okay. We'll make sure we do that. And that'll be on our website. And when you do that, so you can go to dbbnwa.com. That's doing business in Bentonville, the website. And it'll be posted. Of course, the website, the podcast will be posted on our website. Okay. Instant work. Yeah, you got me saying that. Instant work. Yeah. It is a great company. They're really reimagining the future of work. As you think about that, and I want you to think deeply about your business, your organization, where could you improve your business if you had the right people? How could you move, with speed, quickly if you had those right people? And I really think you should give this company a chance. If you're not, reach out to them, because I will tell you, I'm so impressed with this company. And it's been great to have your two leaders here today. And so, Christian Crynes, thank you for being here from San Francisco. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate that. And Drish, thank you locally for being here. And he is in Northwest Arkansas. Well, gentlemen, it's been a great time spending time with you. I only wish you the best. And we will definitely be watching. And then as things continue to evolve, please come back and give us an update.
Absolutely.
We'd love to have you.
Thank you, Andy, I've been involved in doing business in Bentonville for well over 12, 13 years in the community. And I really appreciate what you all do.
Thank you.
And would encourage anybody to get involved in what you guys do.
Well, thank you very much. Well, gentlemen, it's been a great time together. Best again to you, and I look forward to hearing from you in the future. To all of our viewers, thank you very much for joining today. We really appreciate you. It's great to hear from you. Continue to reach out to us. It's been such a great year, 2024. This has blown our minds, and we're now viewed in over 34 countries. Thank you for that. And we look forward to our wonderful year next year, 2025. It's going to blow you away. That's our job to do that, and we're going to do it. We have such a great lineup already in our works. So continue to stay involved with us, continue to pass the word on about us, and we really appreciate it. Again, to our guests today, thank you for being here. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you very much.